If you're dreaming of a white Christmas this year, I've got some news for you. You can wake up, because in this video, I'm gonna tell you if you're actually gonna see snow on the ground this year when Santa comes around, and I'm also gonna fill you in on some of the other details about the forecast that might impact your holiday plans. You see, according to the National Weather Service, the only requirement necessary for an official white Christmas is for there to be at least 1 inch of snow on the ground on the morning of the 25th. And by that definition, a lot of us actually had a white Christmas last year, after that huge Arctic blast dropped at least a sprinkle of snow across a good chunk of the lower 48 just before Christmas. But that was last year. What's going to happen this year? Well, even though we're getting pretty close to Christmas, we're still pretty far away in forecasting terms. So in order to make a prediction this far out, we can't really rely on just the forecast models alone. We're going to have to use some historical data to build a base for our own forecast that we can then add on to with future forecast data. So here's a map showing on average how likely it is for your area to see a white Christmas on any given year based on patterns we've seen since around 1950. And as you probably expected, a good chunk of the southern US actually only ever has around a 10% or less chance of seeing a white Christmas. Of course, the farther south you go, the more that skews towards 0%, but just north of that, we have an area of the US that has a 20% chance of seeing a white Christmas every year. This includes places like Cincinnati and Topeka, Kansas. And then above that, the 30 and 40% zones are actually pretty intertwined, but they go from around Boston all the way back towards South Dakota and Montana. Now, the 50% zone is pretty thin, but look, everywhere above this line pretty much has a better chance of seeing a white Christmas than not every year. In fact, there are parts of Maine, Minnesota, Wyoming, and Colorado that only have a 10% chance of not seeing a white Christmas every year. So these are all based on averages. This is what we use to understand what's supposed to happen on a typical year. But no year is really typical or exactly the same as another year. And right now, we really are close enough to Christmas to know what might be atypical about our weather pattern this year. And using this information, we can infer with more accuracy who exactly is going to see a white Christmas this year. According to the latest data, this is what the upper levels of our atmosphere will look like as we approach Christmas. You see that big red blob building over the US and Canada? That is a giant area of high pressure building up, which is actually the exact opposite of what we had last year. You see, last year we had a huge area of low pressure that brought down a record-breaking Arctic blast across the majority of the country. So with the upper air pattern looking almost exactly opposite of that, at least on the surface, we can already tell that we're probably going to be dealing with some above average temperatures for the vast majority of us as we go towards Christmas. The latest run of the GFS model shows this very clearly. Just look at all that red. From the 21st through the 25th, some areas will see temperatures close to 40 degrees above average under this high pressure ridge. To put this in perspective, this is only a high temperature of around 35 degrees in northern Minnesota, but that's a lot warmer than what it should be this time of year. The Climate Prediction Center is seeing the same thing, as their latest outlook puts basically the entire US under an above average anomaly. So the big picture pattern here really doesn't look promising for anybody that might want to see an above average probability of seeing a white Christmas this year. But on some of the forecast models, there are hints of at least one storm system that could change things. It sounds nuts, but this one storm could be the difference between a warm and sunny Christmas or a white Christmas for a lot of us. But before we get into all that, I'm getting thirsty, I'm getting parched, okay? So of course, we've got to take some time to thank today's awesome sponsor. Liquid IV, make your water work harder. We've talked about Liquid IV so much on this channel, and you guys love them. The crew here at the Weather House loves them too, and now that we've got a bunch of new people here on the channel, I think that you guys are gonna love them as well. Liquid IV is a game changer for hydration and wellness. We keep hundreds of these little hydration multiplier packs at the ready here at the Weather House, and we go through them quick. Each one is packed with flavor and 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drinks. For that reason, Liquid IV actually hydrates you faster than water alone. And that's why you can catch me drinking it sometimes during our marathon 12-hour live streams or before a workout. If you've been looking for a sign or a reason to get hydrated, if you needed just a little bit of a push to get Liquid IV into your life, this is it. Right now, you can get 25% off Liquid IV using my code Ryan Hall at liquidiv.com. Don't wait, y'all. Your new go-to hydration solution is waiting on you. At the top of the description, there's a link. Here's to more hydration and more taste in 2024, and let's get back into the video. During the week leading up to Christmas, a weaker atmospheric river will dump a bunch of rain and snow across California, right before entering the US as a cutoff low. This piece of energy could wander across the country and strengthen just enough to bring down some cold air far enough south to interact with the moisture and cause a bit of a snowstorm. Now, don't get me wrong, none of the models are showing a huge snowstorm right now. You can see from the imagery I'm displaying, this is not very impressive, but all of the models are very consistent in showing a storm. And the fact that it's December and there's going to be a storm in place, conveniently timed right around Christmas, means that we obviously have to watch for the possibility for some backside snow. Even in a pattern where pretty much everyone is expected to see above average temperatures, we have to remember that this is still December, so when it's above average, it's still going to be mostly cold. And it's not going to take some huge historic Arctic blast to get us cold enough to make it snow. And that's kind of what this model is showing. A storm comes in just strong enough to make the backside cold and potentially snowy for some people who usually don't see it on Christmas. But guys, do not put any stock in this because this is still very far out. The timing, placement, and everything about this theoretical storm could be way off. But if you are dreaming of a white Christmas this year, this might be your only hope. So with all that being said, here's my official 2023 white Christmas outlook. Because of the very strong likelihood of there being an impressive high pressure ridge in the middle of the country right around Christmas, I think it's safe to say that the vast majority of this region will have a 5% lesser chance of seeing a white Christmas this year. Beyond that, there's even an area where I think there's a 10% less chance of seeing a white Christmas this year right in the middle of the country. A lot of this zone actually overlaps with the 10% annual average area, so we can pretty much say that these places have essentially no chance. Now, on either side of this ridge, there's going to be opportunities for storms to form. I'm actually pretty confident about a series of storms impacting the west coast around Christmas. As a result of this, I am going to add a small area where there's a 5% greater chance of seeing a white Christmas this year. Everyone else is probably going to be right on track with our historical averages. So go ahead and take another look at this map. Find your location, note the annual average percentage of you seeing a white Christmas, and compare that to this map. Subtract or add the forecasted numbers to your averages, and that's how likely it is for you to see a white Christmas this year. If you're in a place like St. Louis, Missouri, for example, on average, you have a 20% chance of seeing a white Christmas, but given the forecast for this year, it's going to be more like 10%. Of course, I could be wrong. It's definitely happened before. But the overall consensus here is that Christmas looks to be less snowy than usual for the vast majority of us. As we get closer to Christmas, we will know more details, especially on that one rogue storm that may come through and change everything. So if you want to stay updated on all that, please consider subscribing to this channel and our channel where we upload extra content on a more consistent basis, the Ryan Hall Y'all Extra channel. We're going to have very consistent updates going forward, and of course, if things go nuts and we need to, we're going to go live to cover any severe weather that pops up. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to see you in the next one. Goodbye. Ooh.